Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be learning the magic loop technique. I've got an even number of stitches cast on here on my circular needles. What's great about this technique is that it is a wonderful alternative to double point needles, especially and particularly for small circumference type projects. So let's just go ahead and get started. Again, as you can see, turn it this way, I've got an even number of stitches cast on here, and what I want to do is get these stitches separated onto each part of the hard needle. The way that I do that is I'm just going to very gently slide my stitches onto the cord of the needle. Then I'll begin to do an even separation of stitches. Again, I've cast on 14 stitches here. If your pattern does call for an odd number of stitches, just try to get as close as you can in order to separate for magic loop. So I'm gonna pull 7 stitches this way. Let's see, 3, 6, 7, there we go. 3, 6, 7. So I'm gonna pull my stitches, and you're just gonna ever so slightly bend your cord. Don't bend it too much, but just enough where you can begin to separate. Pull those stitches down and grab with your right hand. Again, you don't want to bend too hard, but with your right hand, have those stitches bent, maybe up a little high like this, and with your left hand, pull the cord out. Now, get ourselves adjusted here with our tail. Now we have both sides of the stitches, 7 on the right, 7 on the left, or vice versa, on the cord part of the needle, and we want to get them back on the hard part. In order to do that, we're going to turn our needle, and with these, they're really right there already at the tip end of the hard needle, so you'll start to just push them up. At this point, we've still got these 7 stitches on the left hand side on the cord, so what you'll want to do is ever so slightly begin to push your needle where you can get those stitches on the left side onto the hard part, like so. So now we've got both of our stitches evenly cast on both sides. Next, you'll want to get the side of your stitches, your tail and your working yarn and all that. You want to knit that side first because you don't want to work backwards or incorrectly on our whip. In order to do that, pull your tail over there and pull this work over there. Essentially, you'll want to just turn your needles where it's like so. So at this point it looks a little wonky, but that's okay, don't panic. You want to just move your working yarn across the needle, being careful not to do a yarn over. Move your tail out of the way, being careful not to knit into your tail. So now we have the working yarn where it's almost sitting in the front of this needle. And we've got our stitches here. Now a fun trick to make sure that you're not twisting your stitches, which we know can happen when we're working in the round, is just to sort of push these stitches down, like so. Now we want to begin to knit as normal. Typically when we're holding our needles, right, we're working this way. So in order to get this working yarn behind our needle so that we can knit, and also to make sure that we have a needle in our right hand with our live stitches that we're going to knit on the left side, in order to do that, this is the fun part. You pull this needle, whoop, give yourself a little bit of slack, but not too much, as you're pulling these stitches up. And now look at there. You want to make sure that you take the needle underneath the working yarn so that you don't twist your yarn there. And now we can go ahead and begin to knit as normal. Got our working yarn in the back. Now it's going to feel a little wonky if this is your first time doing magic loop or for those first few rounds, because you still got your live stitches sitting on the cord. But we can go ahead and begin to knit those 7 stitches as normal, or however it calls for in your pattern. You can work this in 1x1 ribbing, but if it calls for stockinette, which we know we love that, in the round, because that is just knitting every round. Okay, we're coming up on the last side of this stitch here, because again, remember, we split for 7 and 7. So you want to knit that last stitch. And as you do so, you're going to find that this needle just kind of falls away. You just drop that needle. For now, our stitches are like so. Again, a little wonky. So we've knit these stitches. We basically want to get these stitches over to the left side so that we can knit the other side of the stitches. How do we do that? You'll want to very carefully grab your stitches, like so. Make sure things are not twisting. And very gently pull this cord back, almost to where it's coming right there at the tip of the hard part of the needle there. I'm still grabbing my stitches, and you'll just want to turn. Just turn your needles so that we can get it set up as if to knit, as we normally do. Again, you'll want to make sure that your working yarn is in the back. Well, sort of bring it over to the front when it's on this side, but be careful not to do a yarn over. And now we want to set up to knit as normal. Sort of move your stitches on the right needle up so that you can prepare to knit. Don't be afraid if it feels a little funny at first. Now, we want to get our working yarn behind our needle as if to knit with the needle in our right hand. In order to do that, bring it around. Give yourself a little bit of slack. Make sure you're bringing it under the working yarn. And now we can knit those next 7 stitches. And that is doing magic loop. Simple as that. Easy, right? Okay, so now you know that we're coming up to our last stitch and the end of our round, evident by our tail. So again, that part of the needle drops away. A lot of people make sure that they keep mark of their round by the tail, which you can totally do, but I also like to just use a locking stitch marker, because once I really get into my pattern, I want to make sure that the end of my round and the beginning of my round stands out for me. So when I'm working in the round using magic loop for a round, I may jot down in my notes at this point, when I see my stitch marker or my tail on this side of the needles, I'll go ahead and mark round 1 done. Now I want to start again. Grab your needles, and you'll just want to pull that cord right there, again, to the tip of the hard needle right there, still holding on to your stitches, and turn.